Susan Sausage is handed a deck of playing cards. As Susan shuffles the playing cards, the musician writes something down on his notepad. The notepad is set aside. Nobody's allowed to see what he wrote. Once Susan has shuffled the playing cards, she is invited to write down a number between 1 and 52. The musician then deals playing cards from the deck until Susan's number has been reached. The card at position 9 is revealed to be the 9 of clubs. The musician then reveals his prediction to be the 9 of clubs. Everything can then be inspected and Susan Sausage is invited to react accordingly. I am Daniel Madison and this is The Real Akon.
Well, that's good enough. Shall we do it again? Shall we do a better one? Let's do a better one.
I am Daniel Madison, welcome back. Thanks for being here, thank. Really do appreciate you and spend a bit more time with me, Charlie Madison, today. We both missed you. Did you miss us too? Missed myself a little bit. Missed you more. So I've been away for a bit, but everything that I've been working on has been leading towards this. I feel like I'm back. I feel like I'm back on track. My whole future, I want my future to happen right here. I'm aiming for at least 3 videos a week for YouTube and I think I'm finally back on track. So stay tuned. A lot of dope things on the way and we're coming back with a bang with this dope idea called The Real Akon. Now the reason I call it The Real Akon, because like anything that I do, I try to make it as realistic as possible. So although this isn't technically really an Akon, this is an idea that allows you to perfectly and very strangely predict before the deck is even shuffled which position in the deck the participant's freely selected playing card will arrive at. You can never get this wrong. By the time you've even achieved the deception, nobody's looking. You've already done the work before anybody starts looking. It's as real as it could be and it is pretty good. If you want your playing cards, if you want a chance for your playing cards to feature on my channel in this format, there's an address in this video description. Send me at least 2 decks, one that I can use on film and show off, and the other one for potential giveaways. And this means I get to show off a lot of beautiful playing cards without kind of becoming a part of that whole deck review clique that seems to be happening at the minute that I don't really want to be part of. But I think it's very important for people releasing playing cards to get the word out, especially ones that are as beautiful as this, especially ones that deserve a lot of attention. So instead of using my own playing cards in my videos, the future means that I'm going to be using yours instead. With that being said, let's open these up and let's take a close-up look at The Real Akon. Now, before we even start, a few important notes about the bottom deal. This move, along with many other tricks and techniques and deceptions that I perform and that I teach, rely on things like a bottom deal. There are a certain number of sleight of hand techniques that you need in your arsenal, in your repertoire. I have this whole collection. I have this whole arsenal of sleight of hand techniques, tools, weapons that no matter what situation you put me in with a deck of playing cards, I have all these tools and all these weapons to turn to that will either help me in or out of a situation with playing cards. Bottom dealing is vital. So anybody who doesn't know how to bottom deal, who gets into the deceptive practices, especially with playing cards, you need to invest. You need to learn. And when I say invest, you need to invest your time. You need to learn. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to take this seriously, if you want to take your magic, your deceptions, you want to take them serious, you have to build that repertoire, build your weaponry, build your arsenal. I put my hands up here because I imagine it kind of on my back, like I'm carrying it, or it's kind of almost like I'm reaching back for a weapon, you know. I reach back for different slides, so I'm reaching back for my bottom deal. That might not make sense, I hope it does. But I'm saying this because a lot of what I do, they all kind of rely on a certain amount of things, like sleight of hand, bottom dealing, gambler's cop, a double lift, the way that you get a playing card from the middle to the bottom without anybody knowing, the way that you palm a card, the way that you can deal a playing card from any position in the deck. Build all the sleight of hand techniques first, collect them first, and then go to your tricks. Because I'm coming to this playing card now with every sleight of hand technique that I know, so I can get in and out of any situation and deception that could be presented to me. So anybody who comes to these videos and comes to learn magic and sleight of hand from me, that's the most valuable lessons I can give you are in the sleight of hand techniques themselves. So that being said, this one relies on a bottom deal. So if you don't know how to bottom deal, instead of saying I'm not going to do this trick or I can't do that one, you should be saying, right, I'm going to go learn a bottom deal. I'm going to get better at my bottom deal. And it's not kind of, you shouldn't see it as a cop-out or a way of, oh, he just does everything with a bottom deal. Oh, he just does everything with a gambler's cop. No, your collection of sleights, your arsenal of weaponry will determine how good you are and how powerful you are as a performer. And what I mean by this, anybody could come up to me with a deck of playing cards and say, do this or do that or show me something or do, and I know that I can do it because I've put all the time and effort and energy, more time, effort and energy than anything else into my sleights rather than just my tricks. Sleights come first, tricks follow, right? That being said, let's get to it. This is such a powerful idea. It's been used a few different times in a few different ways, and it's been borrowed and lent, and I believe I used it in something called AX3. I don't know, but it's the idea that we're gonna take advantage of a few different things that are gonna all make this look like the fairest of situations. Like nobody's gonna know that we're up to no good during this whole performance because it looks so fair. Every time I approach magic, every time I approach deceptions with playing cards, I try to make it feel and look as real as possible. And I'm sure everybody else does too, every other magician, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And I found that the easiest way to do this is to kind of give off a reality feeling myself. If you want your magic to be taken more seriously, you have to invite reality, and it has to kind of somehow fit into reality. It can't be an otherworldly thing that people can't recognize. If you present yourself as a magician, people expect magic. If I present myself as just somebody with a deck of playing cards, then you can create miracles. You can get around this, the person's psychology, the person's judgment of you right from the beginning. So whenever I'm playing with playing cards, I make it look like I don't really know what I'm doing. The soap theory. Because that brings me down and it makes me seem like a normal person. Whereas if I turn up and I can do all these fancy things and I'm like, I'm Madison the Great, then people expect that you're going to do something wonderful. I like playing down, and this is one of those things that allows us to do that, so that the miracle at the end really is a miracle because it's going to catch them off guard. All that being said, let's get to it. We're going to take advantage of a few different things, a few interesting things. When Susan shuffles the playing cards, when she gives them back to me, I'm going to look at the bottom playing card. That's going to determine everything. But I don't want to take the cards back and go, it's got to be a very subtle thing, and hopefully when she's shuffling, at some point she'll go, so you'll see it. you'll see it. She'll make you see it naturally. Otherwise, when you take the cards back, you don't want to make it look like you're looking at the bottom playing cards. Like, I can see the bottom playing card right now on my peripheral, and then as soon as I put it down, I know what the game is now. I know what I'm doing now. So, as soon as I know that information, I take a notepad and say, listen, you just shuffle those playing cards. I'm gonna write something down. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I don't want you to see this at the moment. All I do, I'm writing down the 9 of clubs. So I've written down the bottom playing card, and I put the notepad face down. Now, notes on the notepad itself, I like to use a post-it note because it's a very normal thing to have. It's a very kind of human thing. It's not like one of these magician's wallet kind of things, you know, it's just a notepad and a pen. Another thing, when I put this down, it allows me a writing space on the back, which is what we need for this. So I'm now going to give the pen over to Susan, and I'm going to say, there are 52 playing cards in the deck. 52. I want you to choose. Just think of a number between 1 and 52. Any one you want. It could be associated with you, whatever you want. Any number, 1 and 52. Just whatever you want. Write it down so we can all see. So she's going to write it down to keep us from having to deal to position 51 like some strangers do, and we'll deal with that soon. We're going to just write down the number 9. Just for the 9s. So she writes down the number 9 on here. Put the lid on the pen. Take the deck and prepare for a bottom deal. Now I'm preparing for a bottom deal. The 9's on the bottom of the deck. At this point, it looks like she's just shuffled and I've just taken the cards. I don't know much about the deck. We don't know much about this. So she's written down number 9. Right now, we go to deal. So we're going to deal playing cards face up, one at a time. When we get to position 9, we're gonna execute a bottom deal, right? So we are putting the 9 of clubs at position 9. Now they know the number because they said it. It's written down right down in front of us, but nobody knows what it means yet. All I said is name a number between 1 and 52. They wrote 9. So we kind of, right from the beginning, we're avoiding suspicion, or we're staying away from suspicion. We're not drawing in any unwanted questions. We certainly don't want to say at the start, oh, so position 9, card number 9. Ooh, I wonder what it is. You know, we don't want that. We just want a number between 1 and 52. You could even say, tell me any number. It doesn't have to be between 1 and 52. They might say 333. At that point, you would say, no, between 1 and 52. But you could say from the beginning, just name a number. And they might just go, oh, 22, which is perfect because you're kind of disassociating from the deck. You're coming away from the deck. I like the idea of asking for a number in the deck but not explaining anything after that point. So that's what we've done there. So they name 9, and the way that I do this, I like to do a stud deal, a stud bottom deal. You don't have to do this. If you want to just do a normal bottom deal and then turn cards face up like this, and then when you get to position 9, do a bottom deal. For me, I like to do it slowly, and I like to do a stud deal so I can do this. And also, the most important though, when you're dealing, deal from this side to this side so that you are creating a ribbon out of the dealt playing card. What I mean by that is this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bottom deal, 10, 11, 12. So I stopped round about 3 or 4 cards after the named number. So we have 12 playing cards and we have the 9 of clubs. I bottom dealed it to position 9, so I know it's at position 9. Nobody was looking for any kind of deception, only me. So nobody knows it happened. Nobody was waiting for it. Nobody was prepared for it. All that they know, this is a shuffled deck of playing cards, and I've dealt playing cards from it. So now I draw attention to the situation that has been created, because now it tells a story. The shuffled deck is here. I've dealt playing cards out. We have the number 9. Now we can insert a little bit of mystery, and we can say, look, you named number 9 out of 1 and 52. You named number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the 9th card was the 9 of clubs. You shuffled this deck, and then I dealt playing cards, right? You shuffled them, you named the number, then I dealt playing cards. Look what I wrote down before this even happened. So they turn it over to see the 9 of clubs at position 9. The prediction's all correct, all is done, trick and miracle complete. what I'm doing when I'm telling this story, what I'm doing at this point, and what I'm hoping for is their memory of this. They will misplace the moment where I wrote down the 9 of clubs. They will misplace it. I tried to insert a change in the memory by saying, before this all started, I wrote this down. But it didn't. It happened after they shuffled the playing cards. We'll get to this in a point because we can make this a little bit even better than it is right now. But right now we can try and change that memory by saying, I wrote this down before you even did anything, before you even shuffled. And there it is. And as long as they adhere to that and they say, oh yeah, you'll find that most people go away from your tricks and say, oh, before he even took the playing cards out of his pocket, he wrote down the 9 of clubs. You know, it happens constantly. You know, you do the Balducci levitation, right? You do the Balducci levitation and you come off the ground about an inch. People will go away from that story and say, he came off the ground this much. I'm not kidding, I saw it under both of his feet. Because they want to believe. And they want people to be amazed by their storytelling skills. So believe me, when they go away from this situation, from any magic situation, they'll go away and say, I saw a miracle today. Because that kind of makes them feel special. That they've got that story and they've had that experience that other people didn't. It's built into people's psyche. It's built into them to want to do that. So they will go away. Whether they agree in that moment or not, they might just say, no, I shuffled first and then you wrote this down, you slime. They might say that then, but then they'll go away and they'll say, oh, he wrote it down last week and he put it in an envelope. You know, and they'll make stuff up for the sake of it being a story. So yeah, you can play with that, and that's something that I always do. I always try and play with the memory of it because I know that they're going to go away and they're going to change that memory of that event themselves. Now, let's take this a step further and let's make a real miracle, because what we can do right from the start, when we give them the deck of playing cards, we can take the 9 of clubs, cop it away, give them the deck and say, look, I'm going to write a playing card down, write the 9 of clubs and put it down and say, look, there's a playing card written down there already. You're shuffling the cards. Give me the cards back. In fact, I put them here. Tell me a number between 1 and 52. So now we've loaded it to the bottom of the shuffled deck. So now we are that one step ahead where we could have written this down last week. Now it doesn't matter what number they give us, because we're in the same position where we just have to make sure that we bottom deal it at that very point. Now, there are all these different convoluted ways of shifting that playing card to its position so that you don't have to do a bottom deal, but there's just something nice from a performance point of view of executing a bottom deal in the moment and getting away with it and having them believe it came from where it came from. If you're not kind of comfortable with kind of stud bottom dealing or whatever the correct term is, then there's nothing wrong with dealing, turning over, dealing, bottom deal, turnover. As long as it works, you know, and as long as these are face up, we certainly don't want to be in a position where we make it seem less realistic, which would be into a pile face down, you know, and then afterwards, okay, look, so we have 20 cards, I'm going to now turn them over and I'm going to now spread them and show you, because all these unnecessary moments bring in suspicion where people say, oh, I could have done something at that point. I really like this idea of being here and going 1, 2, 3, 4, bottom deal, 6, 7, 8, and then stepping away from the situation because it's all done and it's all there. Now, the trick that I did on some years ago called AX3 allows us to do this quite a few different times. Now, once the deck has been shuffled and given back, if we take the 9 of clubs, Real Magician, and just be able to cut to it. If we take the 9 of clubs, and let's take another card. Let's go with the King of Diamonds. And when we take the deck back and we look, maybe we can glimpse at the bottom 2 playing cards. We see the 9 and the King. We could write down 9 of clubs, King of Diamonds. So now there's 2 cards, and I could say, name a number between 1 and 52. They say 9, and I say, name a number between 1 and 52, and they say 2. So now I can go 1, bottom deal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bottom deal, deal. And now we have the 9 of clubs and the King of Diamonds at position 9 and position 2. So I believe that this kind of convolutes something that's beautiful within itself. You don't need to make it like this. The idea of having all 4 aces in the positions that you know about, I don't like that. It kind of makes it convoluted, it makes it less magical, it removes something from the explanation. So feel free to use that divisively however you want to change it. For me, there's nothing more pure, there's nothing more beautiful than the real ACAN itself. That being said, I think we've covered everything apart from, if somebody names a high number, you just gotta kind of bite the bullet with it. I mean, you might want to say to somebody, if you say, oh, name a number between 1 and 52, you might get some sleazeball who says, oh, 51. You know, then you can kind of find a way to deal with that. Like, I joke around with that and just shift another playing card in front of the 9 of clubs and then say, okay, let's look at which playing cards are 51, and it's the 9 of clubs. So there are always like clever ways around that. I don't like to address those problems until they're here, and it's not a case of let's not cross that bridge until we come to it. It's not a case of that. It's a case of don't respond to a threat, respond to an action, because you can create all kinds of threats and all kinds of situations that will never present themselves. Oh, what if they say 51 or card 50? It's never happened to me, but I know that I can find a way around it or a way out of it. You might just want to think about saying name a number between 1 and 30, but then that kind of, it does remove something from the trick. So just feel free to tell them name a number between 1 and 52 and deal with it along the way. And it's kind of strange that I even have to explain that, but there you go. So that was the real ACAN. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find a way to take the move itself or take the idea and make it into something of your own. Remember, if you use any of my deceptions online, as much as I love seeing them and offering my help and advice, don't tag me. All that does is lead your audience to me where they will learn the method, and that can be a bad idea sometimes. I'll be back soon with some more dope tutorials. All I ask in return, make sure that you subscribe so you get that notification bell going ding, 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 every time I drop a new tutorial. This was Real ACAN. I'm Daniel Madison. See you next time.